Hi, my name is Kevin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I'm going to talk to you about flush trim routing. What flush trim routing does is it takes two boards and it makes them in the same plane by having a bit, and we've got a top bearing and a bottom bearing bit. But what happens is the piece of wood that you're keeping, the bearing rides along that piece of wood, and then the cutter head here makes the other piece of wood in the same plane as this. So it shaves away whatever is proud of this piece of wood that the bearing is riding on and cuts it away. And what you have a top and a bottom bearing for is really just depends on, is it the top piece of wood or the bottom piece of wood that needs to be cut. With our piece here, we want to cut the bottom piece here, which you can see is proud of this piece, so we want to route that away. So generally, you want to use a top bearing bit, and then the bearing is riding along the top piece here, and it's going to shave away all the material below that we want gone. Sometimes it's just as simple as flipping the piece around and then using the bottom bearing bit. But sometimes, like on big tables where it's really hard to flip over the piece, you're really going to need these two different bits so that you can adjust the bit a lot easier than it would take to get sometimes as many as 4 people to flip a really big, heavy tabletop over to do a profile or a flush trim as we're going to do right here. And so since we need a top bearing bit, what we're going to do, the way you set that up, is you take this, and with this router, the base spins. And what you want to do is you want to get it to where the cutter head is out along with the bearing, and you want to put it on here, and you want to get down, and you want to make sure that your cutter head is cutting deep enough, and we've got it cutting just deep enough. You want as little hanging out as possible, just enough to do the job. That way all the weight and everything is centered up here. So just enough to get the job done. And once it's there, which it is, we're going to clip this down so that it's locked in place. And now we'll start the router and we'll make the cut. Okay, we made the cut, and we've got both pieces exactly in the same plane. We routed that bottom piece, flushed this top one here, which is why it's called flush trimming. And to the touch, you can't even tell where the two pieces are meeting because it's been cut so well. When you're doing the cutting, always make sure you've got hearing, eye, and respiratory protection. And also, when you're routing these pieces, make sure you're clamped down really tight and really solid because you don't want the piece moving around on you and it coming loose and messing up your cut. So make sure you're fastened down really, really tight.